Uh, yeah, you read the title. I got fired after 1 week of doing sales because I didn't sell myself. Yeah, it's true. Today's Saturday. I was informed Thursday, the last day of our week. I was brought over by my manager after we got back from our destination. He said, "Hey, Clint, I think we should come over to the table. I just want to go over a few things with you." I was like, "Okay, cool." We go over what happened, things I need to work on over the weekend, come back ready Monday to really start killing it at the door. And to remind you, 4 days, I started Monday, but the first 2.5 days really, I just shadowed someone, behind someone, just learning, picking up cues and all that good stuff. In between doors, you get people, you get your peers to kind of help you along the way, what to do, how to go about when this situation comes up. I have really good coworkers, like every person I work with for the most part. I really enjoyed. They're very helpful, informative, ask me questions and shit. Like, generally, we're just like, hey, just be patient. It takes a little bit of time, especially you never done this before. Like, anything you need, just ask us. So I was like, gotcha, man. I like this. So we got back Thursday. I did the whole day by myself. Not a whole lot of success, but, started getting better at some things. And we get back to the table, and he has this weird look on his face, and he's like, Clint, I just think at this point in time, I think we should just shake hands and go our separate ways. I was a little thrown back, I wasn't necessarily mad. I was kind of confused, but I thought maybe we should go back to you shadowing people, maybe, get more training under your belt before we start going to doors again, something like that. And I was like, you mean I'm not even going to come back next week to get more work in, to get better at it? He's like, I just don't feel that you have the energy for this. And I'm like, in my mind, I don't have the energy, but yet I knocked on more doors than you. I took less breaks than you because I worked with this guy all day. I'm not shitting on the guy. But this man was tiring out every 45 minutes to sit down on the curb just to vape his life away. But you know what? It's cool. But I don't have the energy when I'm sitting there like, oh, we're stopping already? Okay. I was running out of flyers before you. Okay. But I don't have the energy. But cool. I get it. I get my demeanor and stuff. But, I'm not. But anyways, I was like, if you don't mind, is there he's like, well, I just don't feel like you're studying enough. And I'm going to be very fair with you. I did leave my binder the previous day. So, yeah, that night I couldn't really go over. But I have enough going on outside of work. And the stuff they really give you to study, I'm going to be honest with you, it's not really that helpful. I'm just going to be, that's not really how you sell people. And I know I have no experience in sales, so I sound ignorant as fuck. But when you are behind someone all day in this rehearsed script they want you to do, and to be clear, it's entry level sales. So this isn't like whatever you sell them, you're about to make your company, thousands of dollars. You're literally selling something free. So, okay, you don't have to do all this extra keeping people at the door, this or that. Get to the point. Because I think about if I'm the person behind the door, I know it would turn me off in turn. So I was like, I hear what you're like. And by the way, I never explained my issues as per even though I didn't necessarily agree with his approach to everything. Me being new to this, I was like, I'm going to put all my pride aside, all my, whatever I think, and I'm going to take this person's advice, and then over time, I'll develop my style. And I'm going to be honest, it's coming from someone that none of my peers, which was literally the whole like group, is literally like in between 3 to 6 people, depending on the day, who wants to show up or not, which is a reflection on what that manager allows, but that's neither here nor there. It's like, even though I already could take advantage of you in terms of as a manager, as someone with managerial experience, and I know I'm talking about like I have 20 years of experience, but when you do take a real manager role that has an environment of intensity, and you go from that to something like this, where it is fucking around for half the day, where half the day is really you in a vehicle, getting to a place, coming back from a place, going on lunch break, going to unnecessary breaks in a gas station. Like, it's a very like, okay, we have this big pride in trying to get as many houses and as leads as possible. But we are fucking around for half the shift that you're getting paid for. We're getting paid for, which is less opportunities for us to make leads. You know, we're missing out on potentially 20 to 30% more houses that we could hit. And you get one of those, that's daily bonuses for you. But whatever. I'm not, it's whatever. I didn't mind it. When you go from being in one highly intense place to having no time to yourself in a day, you go from a place to now where it's, you have most of the day to yourself, because you're walking around in neighborhoods. You're kind of going at your own pace, at your own will. You go from house to house, let people know X, Y, and Z. But going back to the meeting, not to go too off tangent, I'll get to other stuff in a minute. He's like, I just think at this point in time that you just come pick up your check, return your clothes, and I just look at him and I'm like, I'm not mad, I'm not sad, I'm not really too much. I just kind of look like, so this is not a decision you made in my mind. I'm like, this isn't like on the car ride back. You're just like, you know what? This is something that you either something happened in the day and there wasn't anything that happened during the day that would make someone make that drastic of a decision off someone's first week on the job and day and a half of doing it by themselves. There's something that doesn't feel right here. And it's not anything to stress over them, but what it exposes to me is that there is really a lack of leaders in positions. And when a manager basically gives up or fires people, because also this is literally his first week or two on the job. So I understand your first week or two is very like, I don't care if you know the position and all that shit. Like, it is like different. It is an adjustment. You're adjusting the thing. So I kind of empathize with that, which other people may not have, but I empathize with that. I know how hard it is to transition from being a peer to being someone in charge and a superior. But since I was a new person, it was easier for him to try to, strong arm me. And because our physical differences, and not to kind of be a dick about it, but to be honest, if you don't have verbal respect when you are that stature, it's going to be very hard for someone to respect you if they don't respect your work ethic, your equity in your position. And especially when you are around other peers, when you're not around, and the way they talk about you and how much they don't respect you, that tells me everything. You will learn, like, the first week you are on a job, what people feel about their boss, what that boss allows, how much they respect them when they ask them to do something that they may not like to do, the way they roll their eyes when asked to do something. And that told me everything I need to know. But even knowing that, I still was like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be that person. This is not my familiar field. I'm going to be a sponge. I'm going to be whatever you need. I'm going to listen what you have to say. Even if a person that me and this other dude started the same day, or basically started the same week, and he has experience in sales, and me and him were pretty cool. And I'll get to him in a second for being a really awesome person. Like, because he felt what happened to me was bullshit too. And everyone in the work is like, hey, I'll see you next week. Clint, hey, man, we're here for you. Whatever you need, we got you, man. And I felt like really cared for and like, man, you know what? These people, they're really trying to, look out for me. And him in a real moment, he like, when we were talking shit, he was like, I'm going to be honest with you, man. Being behind him, knock on these doors, trying to sell this inspection shit. He's like, he would not be able to sell anything like for real. Like in this protected environment where there's no real pressure, he can do this like nonsense of this script. But in real life, when you're talking to people, homeowners that don't have time for your shit, that don't have time to mess around, they have kids, most of them aren't going to answer your doors. You're annoying people in the middle of the day when they don't want to be bothered. You look suspicious. You look like you're trying to sell them something. It says no soliciting, but you want to solicit? Okay. You are dealing with people that don't want to be fucking bothered, and they don't want this script roundabout of you trying to push something on them when their life is pushing on them. He's like, in real, like, he would crumble. And I didn't have no experience, so I can't really attest whether that's true or not, but kind of looking, I know like human interactions of being in charge of people and how if people that are under you that you're in charge of don't respect what you have to say because there's no consequences of them showing up to work or not, which was very apparent the first week. That told me, oh, shit, you're kind of on your own out here. There's no real leadership here. And that kind of worried me for a second. But they even said, like, the first week or two, don't worry about how many, leads or sales you're getting. Just focus on getting comfortable, getting better, and just like kind of keeping the person at the door longer. I got you. It's an entry sales position. It's not great pay. So the pay was not what I was there for. It's to get experience and just have, a little bit of a check coming. And then so the Thursday we get back and he says, I think we shake hands and go our separate ways. I just look at this man and I say, okay. That's all I said. And what does he do? He puts his head down and he walks outside while we're in this garage area, he walks into the building, doesn't even offer to shake my hand. And I immediately just like, oh, mentally, like, everything I thought about, like, lack of respect, I should have had from the beginning. That lack of respect that I kind of felt I could have done, I should have. Nah, I should have, but I could have and warranted it. But I didn't. I was the only person in that room that tried to not abuse, but that tried not to take advantage of the fact that he could be taken advantage of and BS'd on. And you give up on someone after a day and a half of them doing the job by themselves. Any job I've worked at, they would tell you to figure it out. And I kind of see like why, because the easy thing to do is to just fire people. And firing people is not the answer to build a substantial culture unless they do some or it's over a period of time where they're not performing. You literally told me that it's going to take some time to get, but when you get it. And, for me personally, I wasn't even like upset. What upset me was this man didn't even have the confidence in himself to be a leader and to work and manage people. That's what bothered me. I felt like very little to anything of actually getting fired. I'll be honest. I'm going to be very honest with you. I'll admit it was not something I'm comfortable with, going up door to door and annoying people in the middle of the day. I did it anyways. And it took a while to get comfortable with. It's not something I or most people are comfortable with. You do have to be like, but you can adjust and get good with it, as I was starting to get okay with it. It's kind of like this is a mental block, this anxiety of fear. But I got over it, over time. And for someone just to be like the audacity of someone to just be like, we just I just don't think it's gonna work here. It's like, oh, so you don't actually want to do your job. That's what I'm hearing. In my mind, because my mind, I'm like, so you just actually don't want to do your job, which is to make, at that point, your weakest link better. When you're going to put an onus and blame that I'm holding the team back. But not the one guy who just didn't show up twice in a week and gave you no explanation, and you just let him come back to work the next day like nothing happened. The other guy, who you claim was your best person, didn't show up for 3 of the 4 days. Now, one day he had a legitimate excuse of a flight delay, and then the other 2 days were just like, just not really coming in. And when we asked you, oh, they're not coming in, he's like, yeah, I haven't heard from them. And you're like, oh, so it's going to be my mind, no consequences. They're just going to show up. And, oh, okay. And this shows to me, your leadership, your department does not take what you do serious. People showing up when they don't feel like it. But I think, I'll be honest with you, man. I enjoyed it in terms of the part that really looking back on it, that was very interesting to me. This is how the day went, right? I'll just break down the day. And when they say I never worked a job where literally half the day you are kind of bullshitting around doing nothing, no matter where I worked. There's always something to do. This was the first job I've had, and this is a job that people oh, this is a real job. You know what we did? First of all, I was first there every day. Everyone else was late every single day. So obviously, coming in prepared, coming in getting your shit ready, coming in early, letting people know you're serious, getting your body ready for the day is not the most important. Okay. You show up at around 8:20, 8:30. There's a meeting at 8:30, which is just him on a whiteboard, pretend to ask questions that, aren't really that important. I'm going to be very frank with you. You quote unquote leave around 9 o'clock. They take you in a van and they drive you out to something. Remember, you're already clocked in. So you're sitting in a van. There's no urgency. People are taking their time getting in the vehicle. Oh, get this. We're going to get ice and all that. By the way, this man had me fill up the ice bucket on the day he fucking fired me, which is oh, putting ice on my bruise. Gotcha, man. Fuck you. That's having me do something that's not in the job description. Okay, cool. Don't worry. I drink all your racetrack water bottles. And you're sitting in a van. They drive out to a gas station every morning. Okay. We go there. People get food. People get whatever. Okay, fine. That's one stop. Probably there 15, 20 minutes. People take another smoke break. People get something to eat. People get something to drink. No issues so far, right? But this is about now, probably 9:20, 9:30. Now, this is an hour in and you've done no productivity. Okay? We're driving about an hour away every single day to our destination. In some random ass place that they do not plan or design. They literally just kind of picking places. I'm not kidding. There's no strategy. It's oh, we're going to hit this neighborhood. And some of the neighborhoods were okay, this is a place where you might get business. And you go some neighborhoods the one we went to Thursday where had no luck whatsoever, where it's none of these people are paying $18,000 to $25,000 for your waterproofing service. I hate to break it to you. No one's paying for it. You need to know your KYP, know your personnel. Don't waste your time. You're having people walk around in areas that people cannot afford what you're selling. Know your audience. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time when like the salespeople, their job is literally to, their job is to literally, the way the pay structure is, you have your base pay. And you get paid based off how many, if you get X amount in a day or in a week, or if it leads to a complete sale, whatever. So to me, it kind of looks like you're putting us in shitty areas, so we can't actually really get paid. I'm going to be honest with you. But I was like, you know what? The worst area, maybe it challenged you to have to be better. That's the way I took it. And we realized most of these people are just like, leave at the door. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you. Now, if I just have a minute of your time, actually, I'm going to call the police. All right. I don't want none of your time, And what it kind of got out, it's the definition of just a waste of time. So we get out to this area. And before we even go to the neighborhood, we take another bathroom break. So by the time we actually get in the neighborhood, start walking around, knocking on doors, potentially trying to get sales so we could get our 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks in a fucking day. Woohoo. It's 11 o'clock. And then you know what happens? You're out there for maybe 2, maybe 3 hours that they feel like, and they're like, all right, guys, we're going to lunch. They take about 20 minutes to find a place they want to eat at lunch. So what is it now? 1:20 or 2:20, depending on if you went to lunch at 1 or 2 o'clock. By the time you get at a place, that's another 40, 50 minutes. Now it's like 3:10. You get back to a place. You get back to a neighborhood to start selling. It's 3:30. So then now you got about 2 hours until it's about 5 or 5:30 when they need to pick you up and drive you back so we can get back by 6:30. So everyone could clock out on time. So really, you're actually only doing about 5 to 5.5 hours of actual knocking on doors a day. And then in between, depending on who you're with, you can't get too far ahead if your partner wants to be extra slow. And they need a break every 25 houses because walking 8 feet up 5 pieces of steps is a little bit too much for them. But then they want you. And also the routes this man would do is stupid. And that's why I'm like, and I thought I was like, yeah, he gives us a route, and you know what we do? He said, and my peers, they said, when he gives us a route, you know what we do? We'll go down the first street and then do what makes sense from there. I'm not going all the way down to come all the way back, because that's the opportunity. It takes more time to do the same job. You're knocking on the same amount of houses, taking 20, 30 extra minutes when there's a more convenient way to do it. I know that's too in the weeds, but the point is you're talking to me about energy, right? You set the tone how your business operates. The second someone enters that job, their first week or two is critical for how they view the intensity of that job. I went to more houses than everyone else. Did I have success? No. But I try to hit as many houses, leave as many flyers as possible, so I could potentially get people to call back. Even if I didn't get them at the door, I had conversations with people, mostly pretty nice. Even the ones that didn't, put some on their door, had a code. They wanted to call, set up an appointment, I get that credit. So I'm still getting more opportunities. And I'm not even going to be able to see the opportunities because you basically said, yeah, fuck you. And to me, the urgency I got when you come to a job, here's what us employees think when we come to the urgency you set the first week or two is critical for how we view that job. How the employees there already treat you, how serious they take the job. When I already see 2 people not showing up to work whenever the fuck they want, that tells me if I want to call out one day because I don't feel like it, I could. That's what it tells me. And I'm not going to worry about shit. If I call out today, am I going to get documented, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to have to worry about that. Because there's evidence that's not really what matters here. It shows that there's no urgency we just kind of leave, we'll drive there, we fuck around in the car, but if I have my earbuds in, I'm not a part of the group, but when everyone else is chilling, it's okay. I get it. Look, I admit, I wasn't exactly like ha-haing with everyone in the car. I was in my own world, listening to my podcast. I was listening to podcasts, music, getting in the zone for the day. Like, that's what I like to do. I have a way of just mentally getting ready, relaxing, going over things in my head. But since they were all wanting to play the same 9 songs every day, no problem with that. But I'm going to listen to my own stuff. Like, everyone's on their phones. It's not really any different. Like, everyone's on their phones all day. Cool. Manager's on his phone all day, on Instagram, taking Snapchats, vaping, which is unprofessional, in a vehicle, vaping in people's neighborhoods, unprofessional, in a uniform. But me, I'm sitting here and I don't have the energy. When I'm honestly waiting, I'm literally waiting for him to catch up. But I don't have the energy because I'm waiting for you to stop fucking around at these doors. Waiting 5 minutes for people that are not going to answer the door. Like, have some human awareness at a point. You're wasting time. You're wasting opportunities. It's opportunity cost, my friend. That's the thing. People think like, oh, I've been doing this job. I'm in this position. It's like someone could come in 3 days and kind of assess things about you that are just human perspective. Sometimes you need an outside point of view for people to be like, you're just kind of like standing at doors just to say you're standing at doors. And he's kind of soft-spoken. I'm not shitting on the guy. But he is definitely someone that if he came to my door and with his rehearsed, it doesn't even sound like his real voice. It sounds like he's doing like a radio ad. And then he's going in this performative opening 45-second spill, but just do you have this or do you have that? It's like, I honestly tuned out halfway through. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like, no, like, I'm not telling you what the fuck I have. I'm going to be honest with you. It's like, I'm not even going to tell you, yeah, I have this, but I'm just going to be like, yeah, I'm not really interested. That's fine, sir. Just letting you know we have a free, and I'll be like, that's great. Leave the flyer. Give me the flyer. Have a great day. That's what I would say. Because I'm not going to be a dick about it. I understand you're doing a job, but don't waste my time to fulfill and tingle your taint for me. Like, I don't have time for your over-exaggerated script. You are part of human interactions is not remembering. You need to know what you're talking about, which is a bigger issue with me, is they want to have you be able to sell something. But if you don't have prior knowledge of it, they don't even like sit down with you, have like a day or two to go over general stuff about the service. You kind of have to figure the shit out yourself. And I tried to do that. But then when someone asks me something, I'll be like, I'm going to be honest. If it says it on here, we do it. But overall, like, what it showed me is a lot of these jobs just fuck around all day. No productivity. Like, none. Like, and what it showed me is like, bro, like, as a person, like guys, stop out, take care of what you need to before you come to work. So we just make one stop, get out there, get started early, go on an earlier lunch break, and then, maybe like, have like a little bit like hour, 15-minute lunch break where you eat, drink water, pee, go to the restroom. We get back out there and we go hard for the next 3 to 4 hours. The issue is, it's like, there's no structure. You guys just throwing us in neighborhoods. You're not really, there's no plan. There's no plan of like, we're just like, oh, just go out to these random neighborhoods, get shit. It's like, there's not really much of a plan to this. And I asked every day, is like, is there a reason why they picked this neighborhood today? They're like, yeah, we just looked in Google Maps before we left the building, and we're just like, we're going to go here. Or even on the way there, they're still figuring out where they want to go. And I'm like, what kind of fucking operation is this? It goes to show, like, as much as like I have had gripes about things in the past, one thing I will say, I appreciate a business, a corporation that is more like, bro, like we're here to do production. You're either ready for it or you're not today. And what they did, it was not about production. It was definitely, there's some type of like, I think because I told them, I was talking to my girlfriend yesterday. And, you know, I was like, yeah, I remember this one day we had this discussion about, you know, I was once a manager. And then he asked what I got paid. And I actually told him because he told me how much he got paid. And he was like, oh, you got paid that? And I'm like, yeah, you get paid the money for a reason. It's very intense. And the logistics of you not doing your job leads to service dates not being met, leads to dangerous situations. You're dealing with contractors. You're dealing with real life, like, you're dealing with real implications on how literally the world works. I'm not going to say the company I worked at. Compared to this, where it's a smaller company, and you're in a department where it's just like, yeah, you know, just go out there and, you know, do what you can. Like, literally, I'm going to be honest, if I was the owner of that business, and I saw I'm paying you guys for 10 hours of work, and you're really doing about 4 to 5, I'm going to cut the shifts down. I'm going to have you go to closer to areas. Stop wasting so much gas. Stop making 8 stops during the fucking trip. And we're going to be more productive. And you're going to get more bonuses and leads and all that good shit. Because we're going to maximize our time. I'm going to be honest. I don't care if you know what the fuck you're doing in sales. I'll admit, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. But at the same time, I know what wasting time looks like. And that's what I experience. Wasting time. But I got paid for it. You know, getting paid to sit in a van. But you want to pinpoint, try to put almost like I'm not taking it. Bro, no one here is taking this shit serious. The only reason why you can say something to me because it's my first week on the job and I have no experience. And here's the thing. I never taught back one time. The only thing I will say, the last Thursday, I know I'm going all podcasts about this, but this is real life shit, you know. I haven't posted in a while. I actually have something fucking to talk about. Is we were walking on a street and all the houses are on one side. So when all the houses are on one side, you team up. Typically how it works is when you go in a neighborhood, there's houses on both sides. Like, all right, you stay on the left side, I'll do the right side. And every time you turn the street, you keep that same code, blah, blah, blah. So, but we're on a street where all the houses on one side. When that's the case, you kind of like, you start here, I start here. When you're done here, you skip over and we just keep going to the next house, wherever the other person's at. This man, I'm not kidding. I go to a house. There is things that they told us. Hey, if it's a duplex, if it's a house that is not desirable to the eye, it's not well maintained, it's not a house that you think is really going to be worthwhile going to, then skip it. That's what we are told, right? Or if it's a renter, skip it. Okay? I did that. The same houses I picked up over the couple days that he described to me that he passed, like, don't worry about this type of house. Same thing applied. I did the same thing. So I skipped one house, went to the next. As I'm coming out the driveway, going down the sidewalk to go to the next, I'm walking in the driveway of the next house. He comes out from it. He's like, hey, you need to hit this house. I look at the house I skipped, and I looked at him, and you know how you have that look like, I know you're bullshitting me. I gave him that look. I did give him that look. Because we're out, you're putting me on this bullshit route. We're a couple hours into our second part of the shift. It's hot. I'm getting my steps in. We just took 3 breaks for no reason. I got to wait on you because you want to fuck around, be on your phone, but you want to talk to me about energy. But then you get on me about skipping the house. When I look at him, in my mind, I'm like, you would literally skip this house. You, in my mind, what it looks like, you're trying to take advantage of me. You want me to take this house so you can go to a house that's worthwhile and you get more worthwhile houses. Let's just say that. I looked at him and I just kept walking to the house I was going to. I nodded my head. I kept like, well, I'm not a man that looks back, That may have been a factor, I ain't gonna lie. Because I kind of strong-armed him a little bit. Like, yeah, look, I know BS when I see it. I know when someone is trying to make me do something they wouldn't do. And here's the thing I take pride of. When you are in a position of leadership, management, like when you get to, like, especially when you're a immediate subordinate of someone, you should never make someone do that you wouldn't do yourself, or that you are not capable of doing yourself. And you told me you wouldn't do that. So don't hold me to a standard that you don't hold yourself to. As a person in leadership, you hold yourself to a higher standard than anyone. You hold yourself to a standard so you can demand your group that's supposed to look up to you to meet your standard. And after, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to be honest, like, I just kept going. I just stopped waiting for him because he was going too slow. He was waiting at doors for like 2 minutes, bro. Like, bro, after 2 minutes, they're not coming to the door. I hate to break it to you. 98% of the time, they're not coming to the door. Even if they are home, they don't want to see you. Take the social cue, move on to the next. So, I kept moving. I just kept going house to house. Wait a little while. They didn't come to the door. Leave a flyer. Go to the next one. It's a numbers game. That's why it's a numbers game. The more houses you go to, the more success you're typically going to have. So when he told me, when we get to light, I just kept going. I was like 20 houses ahead of him. And then he just walked and caught. He didn't say nothing to me, though. He didn't say, like, hey, next time. Like, he didn't have the stones to be like, hey, you need to wait for me. We sat down at the end of the shift, waited for our van to come back for like 15, 20. We sat on this curb, on our phones, waiting. Didn't say anything to me. And we got on the van, going back as normal. Everything was normal. The mood was the same. And then got back, and then he wanted me to sit down and tell me that. To me, that was like, okay, no one is going to get good at something after a week. I think that's the point. And I think a lot of these businesses, and what I've realized is, because it's like, it's a national business, but it's also on a smaller scale, if that makes sense. When you have businesses on a small scale, when I was, because I got fired. I was like, is this shit normal? Because I'll be fully disclosed, I have never been fired before. I've never been fired. Because I always ended up being one of the better people at my job in my position. Or at least I've earned a place where I have at least a decent amount of respect. I typically have worked the most hours. I typically are asked to do the most compared to other people in my position. I go above and beyond of what my job description has shown at just about every single place I worked at. So to get fired from a place where it had the least amount of physical requirements, where it had the least amount of actual time doing work that you're getting paid for, was mind-blowing to me. In my mind, I'm like, shit, like, I only have to apply, like, this amount of hours of actual exertion of energy a day, and I need to maximize it. Even if the job and the place demands that you kind of just lollygag around and you're just doing X, Y, and Z, I need to bring the urgency myself. I had to prepare the shit myself. By the way, today's sponsor, Ghost. What are we at? 40 minutes. Damn, 40. I did not expect to go the whole episode about this. But, I think the reason why overall I wasn't too down about it It's because I'm be honest, I knew deep down, it's probably like this place specifically is probably not something I want to be at for more than like a couple months. Because honestly, the pay, because when I was talking with the person that was experienced, shout out to, I don't even want to say his name. He didn't grant my permission, but he's a really cool dude, man. To the point where this man actually like literally like 2 minutes after I sat down and the dude told me they don't want me back, I literally walk outside of him, and this guy, he come back to, he's like, hey man, I'll see you next week, man. We're going to get it next week. Very inspiring, very cool, very like honest dude. Dude's like really talkative, really like he's really like a genuinely social, great dude, man. Like genuinely cares. And he was like everyone there, more than the manager specifically, actually was like, you just gotta get, man, it just takes time, man. Like you could be behind it takes reps at the door. And he was just honest about it. He's like, just get reps, keep them longer at the door, you'll get better at it. And he came to me, he's like, man, I was like, actually, man, you're probably not gonna see me. They just told me I'm fired to not come back. He's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. Like, I'm dead. Literally just told me right there. That's why he wanted to have me come to the table and talk. He's like, you know what, man? Hold on, man. I got you. He pulled out his phone, had me type in my phone number, and as I'm typing, he's like, man, he's like, I got something for you. Because he's been talking about, he's like, I've been applying for jobs, but he's like, bro, like, I do shit on the side. He's like, I had a job in roofing before this and all this stuff. Like, he's like, bro, if you want to continue doing this door-to-door sales stuff, I got something for you. If you just want a job, like, in a warehouse or something, I know you say you were there. I got my grandmother. She's got connections, so I got you. Or this day, he's like, man, I got something for you, man. Like, don't, like, because that's bullshit what they did to you. Like, this is like having no sales experience, only being out there for really a full day, and then just firing you, not even giving you a chance to prove yourself and get better. He's like, bro, no one here is really getting many leads or sales. People that have been here, people not showing the word, bro, like, this is bullshit. I was like, yeah, man, you know what, man, we were cool. I wouldn't say we had like deep conversation, but passing, he would ask me stuff, but like, yeah, cool, And for someone to do that immediately, he's like, that's when you know, like, okay, I'm not crazy here. I know this shit's like, I didn't get fired after being on the job for 3 weeks and just like not doing shit. Like literally one day of doing this shit by myself. And looking back, I honestly could have just been like, when he told me that, I honestly thought about being like, looking back, I should have been like, actually, I'm going to need you to sit down. And I should have challenged him more. I should have challenged him more like, you're really going to do this after 1 week. And I was just like, oh, I see what's going on. But the point I'm trying to get is like, when you work for these family style businesses where a lot of people that work there, they know each other. I wanted to always get a job based off. I interviewed it, merit. I don't really typically like getting a job because someone knows someone and all that stuff. Like, I always want to freely apply for a job, interview for the job, and they like the interview. Like, I did one interview and got the job. I didn't do any interviews in between finding jobs. I did this one interview. I was like, cool. Told me at the interview, hey man, come in Monday. I was like, cool. And the dude that hired me, he told me in there, he's like, it's going to take some time, take some weeks, so don't stress out about knowing we got you. We're going to be here for you. But I haven't seen that dude the whole time because most of the time we're outside the building. And I was just like, okay, this is kind of odd. But yeah, I think just overall, man, like, it really exposed, like, I I think picking places that are relatively goodly managed is very important. I guess my overall, I'm not worried about it because when you get fired and there's someone there like I got something for it, that means they know, like they saw you, they know the work, they know they know like, bro, like this isn't a reflection on you. I honestly do think I probably intimidated him a little bit. Not because I did anything particular, but I think he started to see that like I know, like he could probably start to sense that like, bro, like some of the stuff you're doing, it's not really respectable in a real managerial sense. I'm not a manager expert. I didn't, how sometimes people go into jobs, they're like, oh, I did this same job. And it's like, I don't care. That's not your position here. So I don't give a fuck if in Wisconsin you were a senior executive manager getting $150,000 a year. Right now, you're under me getting this. But I will say, in my experience in being a manager, I did treat people who had that experience a little bit different because I knew they were going to see through the authoritative BS. So I talked to them and explained to them and broke down, like anytime they quit, I got you. I'm going to break it down to you. And once I broke it down to them, 9 times out of 10, like grown men, that this is their second job, but at their other job, they're like in a similar position. They're like, I got you, man. Hey, I understand, like, this is a job, whatever, like, and yeah. Like, they understand. You talk to grown men like grown men. You don't talk, like, regardless of you don't treat everyone the same. That's not how being a manager, like, you got to identify how certain people respond to things. And that takes time on the job. And I guess because maybe I wasn't responding in a success rate that he wanted, he just wanted to, because I didn't respond in success rate, it must have been like, oh, I'm the problem. It's like, why don't you try to adjust things you're doing if you don't think what you taught me is working? Instead of just going by, this is the script. It's like, bro, we are not actors. We're people talking to real people. And you got to be able to adjust and respond. Not just, oh, I just don't feel you were studying enough. Studying what? This or that? Like everything he kept saying was, is it this or that? Never ask yes or no questions. Okay, so if like, oh, do you have a baby? It's like, is it a boy or is it a girl? It's like, be like, you just say, yeah, I have a baby. Sometimes people just say yes or no. Get to the point. As a guy, I don't want to be asked, is it this or that 25 straight questions? Maybe that works on your grinder dates, but not for me. Okay? I don't want to be, if someone comes to my home, you got about 4 questions. And if you haven't gotten to what you're asking, I'm going to just assume like, all right, man, I'm good. Like, that's the thing. You got such a short time frame to keep people's interest these days. People with homeowners, people that are stressed about shit. And you're hiding behind the illusion of something free. But they know that free thing, when people find problems, they're going to pressure them to spend not a couple thousand, not 10,000, $20,000+. So this or that, you're not selling a PS4. You're not selling a $300 to $400 electronic. This is a commitment that puts people in fucking debt. And most people, I don't know if you know the fucking economy, don't want to spend $20,000 on anything. Even if it's going to flood their house. I swear to God, if someone comes to my house, I'm going to be completely honest with you. And they're just like, and their second and third question, hey, let me actually just go in your house and check. Is like, if I didn't call you for a fucking appointment, you are not coming to my house that day. I'm sorry. You are not coming to my house. You may be, basically, here's what I'll say. Here's my perspective on sales. I think real sales, in terms of like having genuine to actually get people to get stuff, is actually very noble. It's honesty. It's that balance of reality. And you do got to have a little salesmanship, a charisma, and energy about it. But charisma is when it's unrehearsed, right? But the sales that these companies, they try to do these in these entry sales positions, because they don't just want you to get the most leads however you want. They want it in their confines. They want to train you the way they want to. So when you move to the next position, you pass on to the next. It creates this, oh, this is how you do things. In reality, there's no book of how to sell something. There's no just like one size fits all, right? And what I realized doing this is that the way they want you to do, they want you to be kind of inconsiderate of people's times. They want you to kind of push people who you are on their property, annoying, interrupting their day, and you want to be pushy. Like, but even like I'll give respect to the Mormons, man. They they may be annoying, but after a couple knocks, they go about their day, and they don't say, "Hey, let me go in your house and bless it." They keep it pretty, whatever. And God, the same rehearse, like, oh, wouldn't want to let the dogs out. That's the type of bullshit I was behind with this guy. Wouldn't want to let the guard out. You know what I'm saying? And I also realized, I'm going to be completely frank with you. Their system of just like, hey, we're just going to drop you off in the neighborhood and disappear. It's literally you and a person. All you have is you and your phone in a complete random area that's nowhere close to where you live, nowhere close to the location of where you work at. You literally dropped off in the neighborhood, some questionable. And yeah, something happens, it's going to take the van 10 to 15 minutes to get there. You're kind of fucked. If anything happens with this guy, it's all up to me. Just being honest. Like, no offense. But like, if anything, I wouldn't feel safe with this guy. I don't feel like someone's got my back. And that's God honest truth. Like, it's a pretty dangerous fucking job when you really break down this. That's why it's important to plan and organize this shit. And overall, it's not, the place is fine. Like, the service is a good service. Is it overpriced based on what I hear? A little bit. But it's a very important service. The people overall, everyone I worked with, was nice. Even this manager that I don't respect and shit, like, he's nice in nature. But you definitely, like, all I think about, and only my peers will get this. If he took 200 in the last 5, he'd be done for. He wouldn't last the prime. If you know, you know. That's literally why I got fired. I was like, you know what? I just got fired from a guy who wouldn't last the prime. I know that's a little inside baseball, but that's God honest truth. But yeah, overall, I'll be fine. I'll get a job. I'll be all right. I wanted to try something different. I think sales is something I can actually be good at if I really feel like I'm behind someone that really is invested. It really is about developing and seeing it through. Because, bro, like, as someone who was a manager or something, I have seen some people come in and be like, I don't want to say like dog shit, but like legitimately couldn't do a job at the fourth of the speed, or couldn't do the job at a relative passable level, even beginner level. But when you invest and you like pay more attention, like I'm going to invest more time in this person because I'm not worried about everyone else that has experience, that been under my tutelage. They know the expectation. I'm focused on them so they feel comfortable, so they know that expectation. I work with them, make them feel comfortable, and you applaud their progress. Like, David, hey, you did a really great job today. Like, massive improvement. Like, I barely had to come over and help you out. I barely had to come over to check. Like, you did a great, like, those little things, I promise you, they make an immense difference on that person's confidence, that person's want to, of understanding of the expectation, and feeling like you just give a shit. And you're invested like, I'm going to exhaust all my options to make you successful at this. And when someone basically said, I'm not going to put an ounce to make you successful, it's like, oh, okay, cool. I got you. That's all I need to hear. But my demeanor makes it feel like I don't give a shit, when in reality, I give more of a shit than a lot of people that pretend they give a shit. God, my nose is itching. Sorry for itching my nose, but I think I'm going to end it there. I think I've gone on enough about one thing. This whole episode is about one fucking thing. I'm not even going to have to do timestamps. But yeah, that was episode 323, I think. Episode 323, the Offbeat Podcast with Clint Nelson. I'm your host, Clint Nelson. Don't forget to like, follow, comment, subscribe, and the notification bell. Most important, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to suck some titties. Yeah, I know. It's been a while since I posted an episode. I just felt like, it's the first time, like, I actually, like, really had something to fucking talk about. And that's nice, But yeah, things will be all right. Recording this on February 1st. Yeah, February 1st, 2025. So this episode should be out next day or two, but I'm very excited. New chapter. Like, I think it's good just to keep moving forward. And I think what's different about this, I think a lot of people can relate, is just that you don't let one company or one person that gives up on you dictate how you feel about yourself. And I know I probably deflected and blamed everything on them. I'm not saying it's all their fault. I'm not saying I was doing a great job. I do feel like I was getting better. I was feeling more comfortable. And all you want to see is progress. All you want to feel is that you're progressing. No one wants to be somewhere and feel like they're holding the team down or nothing. But there's not really a strict requirement. So I don't know if I'm holding the team down or if I'm, whatever. And this is not to absolve blame on one person or the system. It's not to make me look like I'm, the best salesperson or that I had the right approach every day, per se. But I'm not going to sit here and say I was giving the raw end of the stick, but I definitely was not. It was definitely not the environment to truly develop, even though it is an entry sales position where you're getting paid kind of BS commissions. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, looking the research, but, I was like, I can't be picky. If I want to get in this and try it out, you got to start somewhere, prove out on a smaller scale so you can go to a bigger scale, And I don't know, I just think I want to be very transparent. I see a lot of videos out there where it's like, I applied for 150, 800 jobs and got 2 interviews and all this shit. It's like, you also I applied for a good amount of jobs, got 1 interview, and I came to the interview and got the job at the end of the interview. And I think it's because I think you also got to be careful about just taking any job that comes your way. I understand some people in certain positions, you can't, but at the same time, taking a job just to take a job, you could set yourself up bad. Because, it's probably better if they were going to get rid of me now than a month from now. Because that's just an earlier start time. I can look for something different or really just invest some time. Damn, I am going to miss a 4-day work week though. Now I'm back to a 0-day work week. But honestly, getting fired is kind of revelating. It's kind of nice, Before, I voluntarily quit my job. So it's kind of but now I'm fired. It's like, fuck, the world says fuck you. Do your own shit. Yeah. But yeah, I'm going to end it there. Battery's about to die. So have a great day, morning, night, evening. And sorry about the glasses, but there's a lot of fucking light in here. And my nose itches. And I literally can't see blue. And there's your clue. Meep, meep. Yeah. All right, guys. Have a great day. Thanks for listening.